walk together. Tomorrow we begin a new tomorrow.
The race tight as ever. The stakes higher than ever. We are up close with both candidates. Their last-minute sprints and late-night drama. Big stars up the ante.
It's crunch time now.
Please welcome the next president.
Now, Decision Day. Who will be America's next president? GMA's special coverage of Election Day 2012 starts right now.
This is a special edition of Good Morning America. Your voice, your vote. Election Day 2012. Live from your election headquarters in Times Square.
And good morning, America, from ABC's election headquarters here in Times Square. Our whole team will be out in force all day, all night long as the votes come in. And I know Robin is watching it all from home. She's going to vote today as well. Welcome back to Elizabeth Vargas.
It is great to be here on this historic morning as America gets ready to vote. After all the campaigning, this is it. And the first votes are already in, and it's already a tie for the first time in history in Dixville Notch in New Hampshire. There is a tie vote of 5-5. 5 votes for President Obama, 5 votes for Governor Romney, as you can see on our special election floor.
And that is so appropriate because this race has been deadlocked the whole way. Let's look at some voting going on right now. Burke, Virginia, polls already open, early votes being cast, and so many Americans have already voted before Election Day, 30 million of them. The campaigning is going to continue throughout the day today. Mitt Romney's still on the stump. He's going to make stops in Cleveland and Pittsburgh. He knows he has to win one of those states, Ohio or Pennsylvania, to have a real shot at the 270 electoral votes he needs.
We will be watching those states in particular as polls close on the East Coast. But before that, we have another huge story looming right now as a nor'easter is set to slam into the Hurricane Sandy ravaged areas over the next 24 hours with cold, and I cannot believe it, rain and snow. Sam is here. How bad is it going to be?
As we watch this thing curve a little bit more to the east, not only does it have the coastal effects of the storm surge and the strong gusty winds, but it's going to have mixing of snow and maybe even some lasting snow in some areas with accumulation. In places without power, without good shelter, they just don't need this, so we'll give you all the details this morning.
So many folks without homes yet. All right, Sam,
already
thanks.
hit so hard here. Our entire team has been on this campaign from the very start. Today, it's your voice, your vote, and for Mitt Romney, the campaigning is not over yet. He will stop, as I said, in both Ohio and Pennsylvania after voting from his hometown, Belmont, Massachusetts, this morning. That's where ABC's David Muir is right now. Good morning, David.
Hey there, George. It's hard to believe the day has finally arrived, but as you can see here behind me, the line forming here in Belmont, Massachusetts, the hometown of Mitt Romney. He and his wife, Ann, will be here shortly to cast their votes. They were campaigning, George, as you mentioned, straight up until the midnight hour last night, and we were right there beside the governor as he was embraced, literally hugged by supporters, welcoming him home to New England. Just before midnight, Mitt Romney surrounded by thousands in New Hampshire, back where it all began, capping a sprint to the finish overnight that started in Ohio with a grand entrance in a state where the stakes are outsized too, shooting on my iPhone as the campaign plane pulled into this hangar in Columbus.
We are going to do such an amazing thing on Tuesday, aren't we?
Romney arguing he'll get started on day one.
I'm not going to waste any time complaining about my predecessor.
Then back to the plane.
We're getting on the plane now to New Hampshire. We had the rally there right before midnight tonight.
And while we were in the air with the governor, his interview on Monday Night Football. And a tough question. He's from Michigan, but was the governor of Massachusetts. So Lions or Patriots?
Well, it is the New England Patriots, and I take personal full responsibility for their 2 Super Bowl wins.
Meanwhile, 9:54, we land in Manchester, New Hampshire. Mitt and Ann Romney getting off the plane in a state where they have their summer home. Waiting for them, thousands. Kid Rock.
Election Eve is one more concert from Kid Rock from Mitt Romney.
Then their final pitch.
I have loved hearing the voices of the women that I've heard all across this country.
Your votes and your work right here in New Hampshire will help me become the next president of the United States.
Big hopes from the Romneys. They'll be voting here a short time from now. You can see the steady stream already headed in. And I've got to tell you, Elizabeth, so many voters glad the day is finally here to put the ads, the debates behind them. It's now up to them to decide this razor-thin election, Elizabeth.
All right, they are happy to get those ads off the television. Thanks so much, David. And the president was wrapping up his marathon campaigning with a star-studded rally late last night in the crucial state of Iowa, where both Governor Romney and President Obama have spent so much time. It was a dramatic finish to his bid for re-election. And ABC's Jake Tapper joins us now from Chicago. And Jake, you tell me the last couple days have been emotional ones for the president.
They have indeed been emotional. I'm standing here in this arena where likely this evening President Obama will either declare victory or concede defeat, but it has been very emotional. President Obama teared up yesterday seeing all these former aides and advisors joining him on the trail for this last campaign swing. One advisor comparing it to the last episode of a TV series when all the characters from previous seasons joined for that show. That's not to say they feel this is the end. They feel optimistic. One senior advisor is saying they feel a little bit of wind at their back. The President and First Lady arrived in Chicago at around 1 this morning, spending the night in their Hyde Park house. Their return to the Windy City capped a whirlwind final push on Monday. And it all culminated in an emotional rally here before 20,000 Iowans just a few yards away from his former campaign headquarters from 2007, 2008. At one point, the President wiped a tear from his face.
To all of you who've lived and breathed the hard work of change, I want to thank you.
Less than an hour before, the President appeared during halftime on Monday Night Football.
You don't go to any place where folks don't talk about some football.
His final swing state swing started in Wisconsin just before noon with the boss, Bruce Springsteen.
Let's vote for the man that got Osama.
Then on to Ohio. On Air Force One around 1:30 or so, the President spoke with Republican New Jersey Governor Chris Christie about Hurricane Sandy recovery. Then he handed the phone over to Bruce Springsteen. Christie is a huge fan.
It was great to talk to the President and even better to talk to Bruce. So
at 3:40 in Columbus, Ohio, the boss began and was soon joined by Jay-Z. Then the President was joined by the First Lady at his final rally in Des Moines, Iowa.
I love you. Let's go vote.
And in addition, of course, to doing radio and TV interviews to get out the vote, President Obama will play that traditional game of Election Day basketball he always plays, George. It's become something of a real superstition for the president.
It sure has. Okay, Jake, thanks very much. Let's get more on this now from our political analyst, Matthew Dowd, veteran of presidential campaign war rooms. And, you know, Jake talked about the wind at the back for the president. Our poll shows that. I want to show everybody right now. 10 days ago, coming out of the debates, Mitt Romney had a 3-point lead over the president. Over the last 10 days, that has now shifted. Our final poll has the president at 50, Mitt Romney at 47.
Yeah, you and I talked about a month ago that there's some unexpected event would happen, and nobody would have believed it would have been a hurricane hitting the northeast area of this country. I think what this race was, and it has been always close, and it has had a slight electoral advantage for the president, but it's also had a slight popular vote advantage for Mitt Romney. That has changed in the last 10 days, as you pointed out. It's now gone from, it's still a slight electoral advantage for the president, but it's now a slight national popular vote advantage for the president in the course of this. A lot of votes still to be cast, but that's the shift that's happened, and I think because of Sandy and because of Governor Christie.
Let's look at the Electoral College. You just mentioned as well and how the night might play out. The first polls to close tonight in the state of Virginia, and that is a must-win state for Governor Romney right there. I want to put it in his column right there, but it's not even enough. He really has to sweep the whole East Coast, doesn't he, at the beginning of the night? Florida, North Carolina, and New Hampshire as well.
Yeah, he's got to sweep all the states that touch the Atlantic Ocean, really, to have a chance in this race. And I think Virginia is going to tell us a lot. It's going to tell us if this night ends early for Mitt Romney or if we're in for a long night. Virginia is going to tell us that.
That's right, but if he wins, he still has to do well in the Midwest, win either Ohio or Wisconsin, because look what happens if we give that to President Obama. Ohio and Wisconsin, where he's ahead in both states right now, he is just 5 votes short of the 270 electoral votes he needs. And all that leaves then is Nevada, Colorado, or Iowa, the president ahead or tied in all 3 of those states right now.
That's the situation that Mitt Romney's in. He's in a very narrow path to an electoral college victory. And exactly as you laid it out, it's as if he has to draw an inside straight in this campaign today in order to win this tonight. He's got to do all of those things, and the path is still narrow for him to win this.
Matthew Dowd, thanks very much. We'll see you tonight. Elizabeth?
All right, gentlemen. And this year, whether it's tweeting, Facebooking, or never mind emailing, social media has shaped this year's campaign like never before. And it's a new frontier for both the candidates, and voters and campaigns are able to reach each other through millions, each other with the click of a mouse. Josh is at the special big board with what everybody is searching for and the final campaigns want to leave us with. Hey, Josh.
Hey there, Elizabeth. And you're right. Google searches usually give us, if nothing else, a less varnished look at what people are
hunting for before they vote today, as opposed to what perhaps they're telling pollsters or even their family and friends. So let's take a look here at, well, the most searched for election-related trends here on Google. Not surprisingly, perhaps the first, where do I vote? Latest polls, perhaps. Early voting results, perhaps to get a sense of where their candidate is going. The Redskins rule, who is winning, not surprising either, but let's explain that, the number 4 here. When the NFL team in Washington wins its last home game before the election, the incumbent party usually stays in power come Election Day. For the record, Washington actually dropped its last game, 21-13 to the Carolina Panthers, so we'll see tonight if that nuanced rule does in fact hold. We also want to take a look, as voters were taking to the web, what they were seeing from their candidates, the final personal push by candidates and their campaigns into the personal worlds of the Twitterverse. Take a look here. Michelle Obama tweeting this, 4 more years. That was at a campaign stop in Davenport, Iowa. And this from Garrett Jackson, Mitt Romney's body man. Governor and Ann Romney, wife, talking to thousands in an overflow crowd there in Fairfax, Virginia. And then another from his body man, Eric Draper. Take a look. That's a grandpa hugging his grandson. Again, so much more to see here on Twitter. We'll be taking a look at it all morning, all day long here, George. That is a great shot. Thank you. That was fantastic. We have some other photos coming in right now. It looks like Vice President Joe Biden voting now in the state of Delaware. There he is, just walking into the polling place right now with his wife, Dr. Jill Biden, right behind him, his son, Beau Biden, Attorney General of Delaware. They are going to vote right now. Delaware is a safe state for the president and Joe Biden. But one thing that is really up for grabs, the women's vote tonight. They're going to make up a majority of voters tonight. Both candidates campaigning hard for their support. So let's look at their prospects now with our team of powerhouse women. Nicole Wallace, veteran of the Bush and McCain campaigns. Donna Brazile, who ran Al Gore's campaign. And our own Cokie Roberts. And Cokie, let me begin with you and put up some other figures from our latest ABC News Washington Post poll. It shows that President Obama leading now among women voters, 53 to 45%, about an 8-point lead right now. Governor Romney winning with men, 50 to 45, and that is key. President Obama's lead with women is bigger than Governor Romney's lead with men right now.
And that is key, because there are, as you said earlier, more women voters. But President Obama won women by 13 points in 2008. And what we're really going to be looking at tonight is married women. Unmarried women are overwhelmingly for the president. 70% went for him the last time, and it's running about 65% in the polls. But married women have not gone off him the way married men have. They have gone off him big time. But so we need to know why that's true, and whether it is an economic vote. Married men and women are pretty much in the same place economically, or whether for the first time those social issues have mattered. They never have with the women's vote before.
That's what I want to bring to Nicole Wallace. From the very beginning of this campaign, you heard Democrats talking about the Republican Party's war on women. Governor Romney consistently tried to turn that back to the economy.
Yeah, look, the Romney campaign made a big bet. They made a bet that women in this election more than ever care more about the economy than any other issue. They care more about the economy than national security, than the social issues that we've heard the Democrats talk about so much. And the Democrats made a big bet. They put Sandra Fluke, the woman who went toe-to-toe with Rush Limbaugh, and many feel like she came out ahead over the issue of reproductive rights. So the Romney campaign has actually seen their gender gap. There's always a gender gap for Republicans, but Romney has actually shrunk that gap to a point where he could come out on top tonight because of his success in communicating directly with women who care about the economy, who are deeply dissatisfied with the pace of recovery.
And Donna, one of the things we saw is that